Hello, this is Dylan Miller on Daily Dose of Dylan. Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, even if you're listening on Spreaker. Hello to you, and today we're gonna have a lot of good talk here. I like some of our topics today. I'm going to check on my predictions later on. I don't know how many topics I'm really going to cover, but a lot more NBA than I have had in the past couple of weeks. And obviously I got my baseball coming up soon too. So, alright. So apparently there are reports that Jimmy G will waive a no-trade clause. Now, Jimmy G, I didn't even realize this, he has a lot of leverage here. Belichick, the best defensive coach of all time, liked him. Shanahan traded for him. He's a tier 2 or tier 3 quarterback. And the Niners are bad without him. So there are 6 quarterbacks. The tier 1 has 6 quarterbacks. You can put them in whatever order you want, but the 6 straight quarterbacks in no order: Rodgers, Brady, Mahomes, Wilson, Allen, Watson. You can't argue that they're great. They've proven it time and time again. Can't argue it. Put them in whatever order you want. But they are tier 1. Tier 2, there's a lot of people in tier 2. I'm not going to name all of them, but people like Lamar, Dak, Tannehill, Carr, Kyler Murray, Matt Stafford, Jimmy G, those kind of guys. You can argue Jimmy G's a tier 3 guy, but I'd say he's tier 2. Just because of his value to the Niners. And Shanahan, as we all know, is a fantastic coach. So, and he can't even win without him. So there's definitely something there. But Jimmy G has a lot of leverage because he can say, you know what, you're bad without me. Belichick, the best defensive coach of all time, liked me. And Shanahan, one of the best offensive coaches right now, liked me. So there's leverage there with Jimmy G. He's 24-8. They're 26. They're 7-26 without him. So that's a lot. There's a lot of leverage for Jimmy G. Tier 2 quarterback. Niners are about without him. Shanahan traded for him. Belichick liked him. So that's plenty of leverage for a guy like Jimmy G. Alright, so NBA has been a lot crazier lately. And the Celtics, and this is what I'm scared the Packers are going to be. The Celtics are very Packers, Right now, they do everything right. They draft very well. They win every trade. They develop players at a high level. Their problem is they don't go for it in free agency. Look at the last 5 NBA champions. The Lakers won after getting AD. The Raptors won after getting Kawhi. The Warriors won after getting KD. The Cavs won after getting LeBron and Kevin Love. And those are the last 5 champions. So, the last 5 champions have went in on free agency before winning. They didn't just take Kyrie and try to develop him. They went out and got LeBron, got him to return. And, the Lakers traded all those players for Anthony Davis. Sorry. Warriors got a big signing in KD. And that got them to beat the Cavs, who they lost to the year before, So, even the Warriors, who were stacked at the time, they had KD. Or no, they didn't have KD yet. Clay, Steph, and Draymond won 73 games the year before KD got there. So, I mean, even if you think, like, even if you win 73 games, like, you should take that for example. Even if you are statistically the best team in the league and have the best three-point shooter, arguably all time, you still have to sign players. So you got to go for it. And that's one thing the Celtics don't do right. They were in the Paul George sweepstakes, the AD sweepstakes, the Harden sweepstakes, and I heard something about Kawhi, but I don't think they were too in on that. But PG, Harden, AD. And Danny Ainge said to all of those people, the price is too high. They only have to go all in. It's a great roster, great organization, but they're not going to beat the Sixers or Nets. You know, you got to think of like, all right, what do we need to beat these guys? You're not going to beat the Sixers because you don't have a capable guy to guard Embiid. And you're not going to beat the Nets because there's not really any defense that's going to stop that offense. But you're not going to beat the Sixers or Nets in the playoffs if you don't go all in a free agency. You're developing very well. You developed Marcus Smart and Jaylen Brown. Jason Tatum is doing very well. You know, you got a great roster around you, but you gotta like go in on free agency and see who you can get. So, actually, I was gonna bring this up. My downloads skyrocketed last week. I wanted to thank you guys for that. On Spreaker, at least. I don't know what happened on Spotify, Google Podcast, or iHeartRadio. But they skyrocketed. They went up 54 to... So I'm at 95 downloads right now. Obviously, it's very small compared to the, most successful podcasts. But it's a great start, I think. So I want to thank you guys. 95 downloads and, how many episodes do I even have? 9, let's see. 32 episodes. It's very nice. So I want to thank you for that. And, alright. So, Big Ben is slowly running out of support around him. Kevin Colbert said no. Or no, Kevin Colbert gave comments that, made comments that were not very promising. Marquise Pouncey, Ben's guy, retired. And Tomlin is suddenly quiet about this. And so Ike Taylor, and he was a good teammate, he was a legit teammate, came on, I don't know what he went on, but I heard him say Big Ben would set the Steelers back a year or 2 or 3. And he's right, he's setting the Steelers back because they got the best pass rusher in the game. They got a great defense. And a great offensive line, although they're going to need to fill that void with Marquise Pouncey. But they got a great defense, great O-line. They had the fewest sacks allowed last year and the most sacks given. So, the Steelers are good there. And their receivers are pretty good, too. Claypool, Juju is good, even though people made fun of him for his tech-talking. But when you look at their numbers, they're pretty productive. So, alright. So they're a pretty well-earned roster. And, Mike Tomlin is a phenomenal coach. He's hasn't had a losing season in 14 years. Oh, Jesus. Sorry about that. In 14 years there. So, they're not a bad team. They need running game, that's for sure. And there are some people on the defense that there are some positions on the defense that they're gonna have to fix. But a great coach, pretty good receiving core, pretty good O-line. Like I said, you gotta replace Marquise Pouncey, which is tough to do, and some defensive players. But he's kind of setting them back a bit from being I don't want to say contenders, but I mean he kind of is. I mean I don't think they're a Super Bowl contender, but they can make the playoffs without him. Sorry, this is tough to explain because I do think they make the playoffs without him. I don't think they make it. I don't think they win a playoff game without him. But I don't. It's tough. It's tough because they had an easy schedule this year. They had an easy schedule, and that's why they went 12-4, and they were 11-0 at one point, but 12-4 and first round exit. So it's tough to judge what they would do with a tough schedule next year, and I think they have a tough schedule next year anyway. So I think with the top, I think I said this. The Steelers are an 8-8 because I do records based on talent, and I know I did a 17. I did it as if they were playing a 17-game regular season. I think the Steelers can be worse than the Bengals this year. With an easy, with a tough schedule. But talent-wise, they were 8-8 last year. So I nailed that prediction last year. At the beginning of the year, they were 8-8 talented team. So, I mean, without Big Ben, they're probably going to be better. So I'd say, maybe 9-7 without him. And still possibly, probably a wild card exit as well. But, I just think they gotta... I've always said they gotta move off him. You gotta move off Big Ben. Because he's regressing. He's aging terribly. He hasn't been committed in the offseason. And it was fine when he was in his athletic peak and incredibly talented for a while, but you gotta draw a line somewhere with Big Ben. And I think this is the perfect time to kind of say, you know what? You looked worse this season. I know when you look at the stats, he did a pretty good job. 33 touchdowns, 10 picks. But if you watched the games, you gotta watch the games. If you look at Matt Stafford's record, that guy's not a good quarterback. But when you watch the games, that guy's phenomenal. Well, not phenomenal, but he's a great quarterback. Matt Stafford. If you watch the games, he didn't look good in any game except for the second half against the Colts. That's where he looked good. But Big Ben, he's aging poorly. He's running out of people to back him up. I think it's time to move off him. Alright, let's get some music going here. Alright, so, sorry, that was an ad. But, you just gotta... The Steelers are kind of romanticizing the past here, and, you can't romanticize the past. The Packers didn't do this. They drafted Aaron Rodgers on Brett Favre when he was in his prime. They drafted Jordan Love on Aaron Rodgers and he's still in his prime here. So, just move off of Big Ben. Alright, here we go. Alright. So, the Panthers are apparently clearing cap space and looking to target Deshaun Watson. This makes me think that you know what, this is kind of I kind of have a theory here, kind of. Here's what I think happens. It probably didn't, but I think it happens. I think they talked to the Texans, and the Texans said no, but, when you say no, but, you get teams thinking, alright, but if we add more, it's probably going to be a yes. So, I think what's happening here is they called Houston, and Houston said no, but they're